Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of The Scramble, the only student-produced talk show in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Austin Enney, and I am joined by three panelists, Robert Roussel III, Asmaret Gebretekli, and Adrian Lefebvre. Our fourth panelist was unavoidably detained and will not be joining us today. We're here at the Scramble, and we are all about free speech and political freedoms. We attempt to accomplish this by allowing current students to discuss and debate both national and local problems. Robert, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Robert Roussel. I'm currently an African American studies major as well as a journalism major. My plans are to attend Yale in the fall of next year and get my doctorate in African American studies, where then I will become a professor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Adrian, tough one to follow.
That really is. I'm Adrian Lefebvre. I'm a senior at UNLV, and I am studying journalism, news and media studies, and I'm looking forward to graduating in May, and then we'll see what happens, right?
Very nice. Asmaret, how about you?
Well, I'm also a journalism major, and my concentration is in integrating marketing and communication, so I definitely look forward to graduating in December and to really get into the media field and be a force within it.
Very nicely done. Well, let's get this thing going. The Senate has shot down the proposed amendment to the overall health care bill. The bill would force religious institutes to provide birth control. Religious groups initially resisted this because it was perceived to be a violation of the First Amendment. Robert, do you believe that this bill does in fact violate the First Amendment?
Not necessarily. I understand the problems on both sides of this particular issue with the, quote, forcing those religious institutions to mandate something they don't believe in. But then I also see the other side where maybe you have a religion that is not as followed as, the Christianities and the Catholicism stuff of the world, where you have those religions who claim, oh, well, I believe that laughter is the best medicine. So we're not going to, I'm not going to allow this kind of health care to anybody who works for me because I believe in a laughter-based, form of health care. I mean, that's a little extreme, but I can see where those kind of arguments would jump in. I don't believe that, having them put in, or force people to adhere to these sort of healthcare restrictions is a violation of the First Amendment, because at the end of the day, they're not the ones who are using the contraception. It's somebody else using the contraception.
Adrian, you agree with him?
First of all, I'm confused by the question because I believe that religious groups are more than just initially opposed to this.
Vehemently opposed.
And I don't think it's going to stop. And I have to disagree with you. I think that the First Amendment, how does it go? Congress shall make no laws restricting the
freedom of religion,
and the prohibition of the exercise. This infringes to me on the second part. You got to help me with that. The prohibition of the okay.
They can't establish a religion. Congress should not establish a religion.
Well, no, but I think the issue is really this. I mean, I understand they made a compromise that the Catholic institutions, we're not talking about a laughter-based something. We're talking about an institution of religions that's been around for 2,000 years, and they will not say, well, just because Obama thinks this is a good idea, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and give out preventative measures and we're not talking about flu shots like right. Harry Reid has mentioned. We're not talking about flu shots. We're talking about sterilization, birth control pills, abortion, all of those things are covered under it. So I feel like, religious organizations are not just going to stop and say, this isn't infringing on our freedom. It absolutely is. And to make it a war, as Dina Titus says, a war on women's health, is kind of getting away, I think, from those fundamental First Amendment issues. It's going to require Catholic institutions or any other institution of faith who does not agree with those things to act in violation of their moral conscience.
Two different stances here, Asmaret. Which one you siding with?
I'm leaning more towards Adrian's side because of the fact that I don't believe that it's really the government's role, I guess, to, place these restrictions on religious institutions or place these ideas, because in my opinion, I already feel like religious institutions in their own way kind of have morals on birth control itself. So there's really not a need for the government to step in and try to regulate and place these ideas within these institutions when in a general kind of way, these religions already have views on topics like abortion and other more issues. So for them to just try to come in and base their own opinions, I don't think that's really correct. And I know that these institutions are not going to go ahead and heed to that.
So what do you guys believe the religious institutions will do in response to the shutdown amendment?
I think they'll take the penalty.
You think they will?
I think they will. I mean, I don't see them. I really don't see them rolling back some really fundamental beliefs.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, thank you guys. Topic number 2 now, with the continual tensions between Israel and Iran now elevated because of Iran's drive to acquire nuclear weapons. Sunday, President Obama said that the United States would not hesitate to prevent Iran from acquiring such weapons. What steps should the United States take in this involvement? Adrian, we'll start with you on this one.
Boom. This is a messy situation.
Yes, it is.
I really think, they're talking about 2 different timetables. Israel really wants to make sure they don't have any kind of capacity, although they recognize that their military is basically incapable of taking out those facilities that are really bunkered down. So they're kind of really hoping that the U.S. steps up and drops some nice big bunker busters from high above and kind of takes care of the situation. Either way, we are looking at a huge conflict.
Yes.
Especially when you start looking at where the dominoes fall with those that support Iran's freedom to produce nuclear peace stuff, and obviously the Middle East right now just in complete turmoil. So this is something that's going to be. What should the U.S. do? Diplomacy. I'm not sure diplomacy is going to work with Ahmadinejad. So,
Asmaret, do you agree with her?
I would just have to say that I think the steps that are being taken, I guess, at this point, because I recall I read on this topic, and I recall Obama saying this exact quote, that all options are on the table when he was talking to the Prime Minister of Israel. And I kind of agree with that. I know that he's trying to, the U.S. is trying to make a statement to Iran that these ideas, these actions that they're taking towards nuclear, weapons are not going to be acceptable, and that this has been an ongoing issue since the Bush administration. But for some reason, there was not attention as much then. But now that Israel, the Prime Minister of Israel, is bringing this attention, and I think that he's feeling as though the U.S. is not taking a stronger stance and trying to prevent Iran from creating these nuclear weapons. And Obama's not backing down, and I think that's a good way to approach this situation because, it is a difficult one. And, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens with that.
Robert, I know you're itching to get at this one.
As far as whether or not Iran should have nuclear weapons or that kind of capability, I can see where you would be afraid of them using it. But a country, the U.S. has them, Russia has them, China has them, North Korea, countries like Kazakhstan and India have nuclear weapons. I don't think that Iran developing a nuclear weapon is a threat to anybody, because the moment that they decide that they want to use a nuclear weapon, I feel like the rest of the world will blow them off the map. They would no longer exist. So why would Iran even attempt to try and use these weapons in any capability? I can understand them wanting to have the weapons as sort of a defense mechanism where they don't, if somebody attacks them, they will attack. I don't, however, see them going on the offensive in any way, shape, or form, because you have all these other countries with interest in Israel who are saying, you want to do that, okay, you just won't exist anymore afterwards.
Anything else? Last comments on these subjects?
Well, I don't know how logical. that is very logical, but we're dealing with ideologies, so I don't think that that's going to be a big driving force. I think the reason that it's such a hot topic, the reason that people are all ramped up, there's warplanes on the runway right now getting fueled up, is because Iran has made it clear that they wouldn't mind getting rid of the state of Israel. And
Exactly.
I think that's why
Israel has an issue.
Right. The Prime Minister is freaking out about it,
Yes.
and is really wanting Obama to step up. And I really do think that you go back to Obama's the election in 2008. he got quite a firestorm from everyone when he thought that he would be so diplomatic as to go sit down with Ahmadinejad and have a conversation. Because here's a man who believes that the Holocaust did not happen, who does not believe that the state of Israel has a right to exist, and is playing with nuclear-grade uranium. So, as much as it's logical to all of us that, well, that would be dumb. I mean, we would just wipe him off the map. I don't know that matters to him.
Moving on from tension from Israel and Iran to tension in the own GOP in our country. Over the past couple of weeks, the Republican candidates have campaigned against each other by attacking every point imaginable. These tactics historically are used against the other party, but as the years go on, it seems that cannibalism within the party is more common. Although it is commonly perceived that these attacks have hurt Romney, some of his supporters have claimed that these battle tests make Romney an even stronger candidate. You guys believe that Romney has enhanced or harmed his chances of being able to beat Barack Obama if he indeed does get the GOP presidential nomination nod? Asmaret, we'll start with you. Romney, what do you think's going on with the GOP right now?
I definitely think he's ahead statistically from his other, opponents as of the moment, but I think all the negative backlash that they've had within these recent campaigns, I think it definitely will hurt him. And it will be an issue, but then I also believe that there's been a recent trend within these past presidential campaigns, and it seems to be growing more and more with each election, that they do attack each other, and they do it viciously and ruthlessly, and they don't really have a kind of boundaries that they take. And to me, this is kind of demising or undermining the idea of elections and getting elected in a clean manner, in a powerful manner, and not just knocking your other opponent down just so you can get ahead.
So speaking of boundaries, I'll raise this one to Robert. What boundaries do you think a party should have when battling against each other before you actually get the presidential nomination?
The issues. It should be strictly, it always should be about the issues. I could care less about what Romney does in his private life. If he does well enough in his job to be able to be the president of this country, then that's what should be focused on. If he's not doing well enough, then those are the things that should be attacked. But I don't feel that it's necessary for candidates to go and attack other, personal beliefs, their personal, what they do in their personal and private lives. I don't think that's necessary to, job performance. I don't think that works. We're always taught to keep your job at your job and keep your family with your family, separate the two. But it seems more and more, like she just said, we're throwing everything together. It's just one big ball. And I feel that it skirts a lot of the real issues. It hides a lot of the stuff that we should be focusing on as a country. What can we do to make this country better? And we're sitting there worrying about, what Rick Perry or Rick Santorum said about gay people. It's insane to me.
Adrian, do you believe that this is the best system to determine the proper candidates?
No, I do not.
And why?
Let me tell you why.
Oh, we'll settle in for this one.
All right. I think what was it, George Washington that said, and I paraphrase badly, the moment it gets down to a really obvious two-party system, we're looking at potentially the end of the republic as we know it. And I think that the partisanship that we have and the way this intra-fighting that we're doing, even within our own parties, it's ridiculous. The reason I think that they're going after all these different personal issues is because I think they know that the one thing that actually still matters to all of us is the ability to be able to trust our public servants, and we cannot. So that's why you find out that if someone's going to lie to their wife, they will lie to you as well, I mean, I think that those things are significant, but the way that this is going about, we have got to open up the political system a little bit more. Allow. No one's paying attention to the middle anymore at a time when most Americans will claim that they're independent. All we have are these
extremes. Yeah.
We're getting
back and forth against
right.
each other. So fighting from the GOP over to an issue close to heart with President Obama, he recently announced that he wants to get rid of oil company subsidiaries. claiming that they are a giveaway for the oil companies. The president insists that we should be moving away from drilling and instead towards alternative fuel sources. Now, this is all in response to the recent rise of gasoline this last week, which was brought the average cost of gas to $3.47. What is your take on what should be done about the oil subsidiaries? Robert, we'll start with you on this one.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. My only problem is, will he follow through with it? I mean, it's the same guy who said, I won't pay Wall Street, or I'm not in their back pocket. Yeah, he definitely handed them, a huge amount of money in bailouts. I think it's funny that it's in response to rising gas prices, because gas prices seem to just fluctuate wildly out of the blue. And I feel personally that it has more to do with oil speculation and people betting on what the future price of oil will be than, whether or not oil companies are getting big bonuses or big subsidies or stuff like that. Because if anybody recalls, in 2008, between the time Obama actually won the election and the time when he was inaugurated, gas plummeted from, nearly $4 to $1.60. But no one seems to really remember that. Everyone seems to, oh, that's crazy. That never happened. Well, it did. It dropped to $1.60. It happened so fast. Yeah, it just happened so fast and jumped right back up. So the supply of oil has increased. Our reserves, the U.S. reserves, has actually increased. Yet gas prices seem to go up. The demand hasn't changed. Supply has increased, or demand has stayed with it. Yet gas continues to rise.
Asmaret, do you agree with Robert?
I'm going to kind of go on the flip side of that. I do believe that Obama can take the steps into implementing alternative fuels into our country, but I'm not naive to the fact that something like this just takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, and I think that our country is completely dependent on oil and things of that sort, and that's why we're going to have to make changes within our daily lives and how we go about our daily tasks. Simple things like, I know there's been other issues within our community with recycling and things like that. And I think that if the community itself took the initiative to go ahead and do Go Green projects or campaigns like that within our own cities and things of that sort, I think that this alternative fuel issue would definitely come to, I don't want to say stop, but it will slow down the pace of our dependency on foreign oil.
Adrian, wrap it up for us.
I don't think right now obviously I think this is obviously a political stunt, but I really don't think that the state of our economy right now is a good time to take away some of those tax breaks or whatever it is that is helping to fuel the demand. We haven't changed. We still use it, and things are fluctuating because of everything that's going on with Iran overseas and the Middle East in general. I think that it's just going to flop around for a while. I don't think that it's a good idea to eliminate those right now. I haven't seen the spreadsheets. I don't know what kind of major profits they're getting right now, but I don't think now's a good time to do that in this economy.
It's in the billions of dollars that they get, that they profit off of it, and it gets higher as as I said, the speculation gets higher. As they speculate that gas is going to go higher, even though, like I said, the supply and demand hasn't changed. Like, it's simple economics. Like, if there's less supply, more demand, the price will go higher. If it's the other way around, the price should be lower. Well, that's where it is, yet the price continues to rise.
At the same time, what?
Oh, we're got to move on, because you're going to go back and forth all day. Senator Olympia Snowe has decided that she will not run again for Senate. This choice was not made out of fear of losing, but instead out of fear of staying. She has been on record saying that she believes the Senate is collapsing and falling apart. She claims that everything these days is winner take all, and as long as that remains true, the government is in trouble. Adrian, do you believe Snow's allegations are valid?
I have to agree with her on that.
Senate is collapsing underneath us.
Well, I mean, politically it is. Everyone in Washington, even state legislatures, are really, hunkering down with their core group, and our voting population has gotten smaller
Diminished.
and smaller. Right. So the only people that are going out to vote, they're excited about all these little elections that lead up to the big shebang. They're people that are really passionate on one side of the aisle or the other. In the meantime, everyone else is washed out. So I do think, especially in Washington, that's certainly the case. It's got to be very difficult to try to get anything done.
Asmaret, is the Senate collapsing?
Yeah, I think that she does have some validations in what she's saying. She's on the inside, She has a better view of what's going on. She communicates with these people, these politicians, so she has a better understanding. And if she comes out saying that this is collapsing, then I mean, I'm gonna give an ear to her because she might know a thing or two. But that's about it on that topic. I don't know.
Mr. Reset.
Yeah, to me, it's more that, as she was saying, the extremes are heard. The extremes are the loudest ones out there. Whereas the guys who wanna, the guys who wanna just work together and get things done, those are the ones that are never heard. So I do partly agree with her assertion that, she doesn't want to be a part of this anymore because it's just so much, you're either on one side or you're the other, and I'm not going to even come close to trying to compromise. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel that the center is collapsing. I feel like the center is just not being heard because the two extremes are just yelling louder than everybody else.
But in the meantime, there's a lot of policy being made that's completely negating the center. Do you know what?
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is that you have the center voice is not being allowed to be heard because you have the two extremes that are just being loud and everybody else. There are moderates in Congress and in the Senate and that are there, they're trying to do work. However, you have the extremes in the voting population who are going to call for their jobs if they do anything that doesn't fall in line with their party line, just like you said, just like we just talked about with the voting. You have the extremes and those who want the loudest who want to go out there and make sure that their things are done this way, and you have that center that just, okay, well, I don't hear anything about, any of this stuff. I hear so much misinformation that I'm just not even going to go vote. And
But
I feel
I
like
think-
that's the sad.
By Snow, completely not trying to run again for the Senate seat, I think that goes kind of with what she's trying to go against. It's kind of that idea that if you're not being heard, if somebody's rights not being implemented, then you stand up for it. You don't drop out. You don't just say,
right.
yeah. So as a senator, as a former senator, I don't think that that was the right choice by just completely dropping out and claiming that this whole thing is collapsing.
Yeah,
She
she's not
could be that
resigning.
voice.
She's just saying that she's not going to run again.
Run
Well, yeah,
again,
but
yes.
she could be that voice, and the next one, like, look, we're trying to work together, and then the louder that voice gets, the
Exactly.
better everything else will be.
Let's move on to a topic a little closer to home. Tobacco-free UNLV is a policy that would prohibit the use and possession of any tobacco product while on the UNLV campus. This includes cigarettes, chewing gum, tobacco, hookah, etc., and also applies to students living on campus and students' vehicles. This means that students could not keep a pack of cigarettes in their backpack, their car, or in their dorm room, even if they don't smoke them on campus. Penalties for violating this policy ranges from fines to expulsion. Adrian, do you think this policy is warranted by a need for a cleaner, smoke-free air environment on campus, or just another policy in a string of unenforceable, unfair regulations?
Unenforceable. Certainly.
Unenforceable.
I think it's going to be, in the midst of all the things that are going on in the world, absolutely, I think that they should make it more smoke-free by the buildings, but someone has something in their back, what are they going to, search and seizure my car? That's unenforceable. It's illogical. Absolutely, if they want to do something about the smoking ban or the policy, start enforcing what they've already laid out, 25 feet in front of the building. Go move the ashtrays. Have someone go move the ashtrays. There's an ashtray sitting outside of Greenspun that's 8 feet away from the door. Oh, move it. I think that they should just start enforcing those things. You can't. How are they gonna? Is that chew in your mouth? How are they gonna
Right.
enforce this? It's really, to me, it's really going overboard. Enforce the regulations that are already apparently posted all over campus, and see if you can at least do that, and then go for search and seizure in my car.
Asmaret, any ideas on how they could enforce something like this?
Well, I feel like what they're trying to do with this plan is basically say, we're going to restrict it to be this small and this compact that nobody should be smoking off the campus. But I don't think that's the right way to go about it because people essentially are still going to find ways. And so they need to regulate little things that they can do, like Adrian was saying, move the ashtrays farther out, make it harder for these people to smoke on campus. If you guys are trying to make these changes and actually have them benefit the UNLV campus, take the steps, the little steps. It's not all going to happen at once. So it's the little steps that are going to really make the big picture.
Robert?
This is a public campus, right?
It's a very public campus.
Okay, I was just making sure. as far as I understand, the health ramifications as far as smoking is concerned. That's why I'm okay with it, like she said, being 25 feet away from the doors when it's enforced, because I still see people standing, 10 feet outside of SNAP or the student union, and they're smoking, and there's no, nobody there telling them that they're not supposed to do that. However, when it comes to the chew, that doesn't harm anybody else other than the person using the chew. So I don't understand why they would go so far to just ban that particular tobacco product on campus. Like that seems really pointless and, as she said, unenforceable. I mean, how do you go about making sure that they don't? Oh, it's it's just that chew. Are you chewing gum? Like, I mean, 'cause now you're violating Fourth Amendment rights. I don't think it would work, and I think just starting off, like she said, with enforcing just a 25-foot rule. You got to start. You got to start there first. You're not going to enforce that. What makes you think that you're going to enforce everything else?
Even if you could enforce it, do you believe it would be the right policy for UNLV?
No, I don't. They're, it's a public campus. It's their right. It's their, okay to smoke. Just don't, have the rules where they can't do it indoors. They can't do it so close to building where smoke gets indoors. I mean, if they're out in the middle of an open area and they're smoking a cigarette, I don't see that harms anybody other than the people, other than him or her and the people immediately around them.
Adrian, do you agree?
I don't think it's going to get anywhere. I mean, you can't ban legal substances. I mean, you can, obviously, in a university. You can do whatever, your own little entity. But if they really go after some legislative session that'll make smoking in Nevada illegal, and then you can start working on enforcing things. I mean, it's to ban something that you can pick up across the street is going to be a really, and then put it in your back. Oh, now I'm expelled from school because I left a pack of smokes in my backpack. I don't. It'd be great in La La Land. It'd be great if no one smoked.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. For Asmaret, Adrian, and Robert, I'm Austin, and join us next week for more local news and views right here on The Scramble. Have a good day, everybody.